I'm gonna take some time and share my heart right now. I've been doing really, really well. My son is stable on medication and in therapy, and we are healing from trauma. And it has been really good. Um, Exciting to push past really difficult, emotional, challenging experiences. Um, but we're doing well. We are also in court though, and I have been silenced quite a bit when it comes to the domestic abuse, domestic violence that I suffered 9 years ago in my marriage, and the ongoing coercive control that I often still um, abide in due to the safety and wellness of my children. Um, when you're a victim of coercive control that sometimes it's not worth the risk to fight or push back on things that aren't worth the trade-off. So things like just going along with the schedule that he sets, even though it puts my children in difficult circumstances with inflexibility on his end, but the need to adjust and change things on ours often, no schedule, um, can't make any plans because we're not sure what time we'll be being picked up and dropped off and stuff like that. And, none of that is life or death by any means, but unfortunately, in our situation, the beginning of the end of my children's parents' sense of security together was 9 years ago already. And they were very young, almost 3 and 4 at the time. And even though they don't know a whole lot about dad and mom together, they do know a lot about us separate. So it's sometimes even hard for them to hold on to the good stuff that existed um, in our time together, even though other than them, there really wasn't a whole lot. And it was hard to see for me until I was out. But I feel like I'm talking around what I want to say. I want to protect my boys. I decided to go to court to protect my children because my son was being denied mental health care, his visits during his dad's time. But his dad's time is not consistent. I wasn't being given a schedule. And he said I should just know the pattern of his job and stuff like that. Has been like that for, years and years. And so I've always just kind of let him tell me when he's coming to get the kids and not. Well, in this situation, um, my dad had just died and my son wasn't okay. He was really struggling with a lot of stuff during that time. He was hitting puberty, and this was only in February. His dad denied him his mental health visit and also denied that he had any issues. He's diagnosed with ADHD and he's being evaluated for PTSD. But his dad, complete denial of any mental health concerns. What he says is that anything that he does have wrong is just all my fault. So, like, I'm just doing this to him, which honestly, it's childish and ridiculous. But at the same time, whatever, even if I did do this to him, if your child needs mental health care, get it for him. Like, it's not about who did it, it's about your child needs help right now. Help him. Help him. Why wouldn't you just help him? Anyway, denied him his visit, and I even told him I would pick him up and drop him back off with him just to go to his therapy appointment that he needed because he was really, really struggling. Nope. just tells him he doesn't need it. It's not a big deal. Doesn't even cancel the appointment, just doesn't show. I'm calling, trying to find them. My son is not allowed to tell me where they are so that I could come get him. I remember him mentioning the restaurant that they were going to. So I actually drove to the restaurant, but they left knowing that I was coming. It was a really hard evening, and my son became extremely suicidal. I know I'm sharing his information, and there are details about his mental health that I'm not going to share. And I need to be cautious of that. He's really good right now, but a lot of that is because I have taken every precaution that I can to protect him. I've hired a lawyer. I have spent countless hours researching and making sure that I'm doing everything by the law. I do not keep the boys from their dad, but my one child will not go with him anymore because he only wants to do overnights with them and won't just spend an evening with them and then bring them home. And that is just too much for my child, who doesn't feel safe, and especially doesn't feel safe at his dad's house. Today I feel scared. I was doing great. Like I said, I was doing really, really good, and I have adjusted, and I'm also on medication that's really helping me get out of the fight or flight, the hypervigilance, and recognize when, there is danger and there isn't. And there is danger, don't get me wrong, but I need to be able to find the peace between the circumstances and find a calm as we fight this, the best way that we can. Violence Against Women's Act was signed again, and Caden's Law has been put into effect. We need the states to really pick this up and apply it. It's about domestic violence and protecting children from going to abusive men. And sometimes these men have not physically abused their children, but oftentimes the abuse to their mother is used as a way to scare the children and make sure the children know that their mom isn't safe, they're not safe, and if they don't do what they're told, their mom will be even less safe. And if they lose their mom, then they're stuck with their dad. There is a way that abusive men control children even without physically touching them, through the threats and coercive control of their mother. My other son, not even the one that doesn't want to go visit his dad, now this week no longer wants to go see his dad. He got picked up and he drove with his dad all the way to his house. His house is 45 minutes away to an hour, depending on traffic and things like that. And then he messaged me and was like, Mom, I'm crying. I do not feel safe here. And I was like, what's going on? Dad said that he wants to have you put in jail, homeless, living on the street like a dog. And I told him that I would want to live with you on the street instead of living with him. And he's so mad, and I just can't stop crying. And I had to assure my child that I wasn't going to be in jail. I'm not in contempt of anything. Everything's okay. And then I find my peace, right? And I'm like, no, I'm doing everything right. And I am. And I'm talking to my lawyer, and I'm, your lawyer can't tell you everything very specifically, but, you get some legal advice and stuff. And like I said, we're in court and doing our best to protect ourselves and my children, especially my children. I don't care about myself. I care about my kids, but my kids need me. And so I have to care about my own safety in order to protect them. I wasn't scared, and I've been scared, very, very scared. And I finally, like I said, have kind of found my peace and not been like in this fearful state, finally. And now I'm like, after this, I was fine. I assured him like everything's okay, and I filled my lawyer in what's going on, and that I wasn't going to be sending. I'm not going to make my kids go at this point. Like, I have supported and told them they need to go see their dad. I've asked their dad to not just not do overnights right now until court stuff is settled. And it's like just talking to a wall. I went to pick up my child because that was the right thing to do. He was scared and couldn't even talk to his dad about it. My other child, just months before, was scared and stuck in an overnight and called me because they were fighting very loudly about him and cursing at each other. And I had to go pick him up because he was very triggered because of domestic violence and what he witnessed when I got hurt by his dad. He, like, parents fighting is really scary for him. But his dad won't and doesn't acknowledge that, the trauma that the children have been through. He thinks that I'm just filling their head with information about it, when it's not. It's a memory. It is what they experienced. They weren't told this happened. They lived through it. Anyway, I've been silenced a lot. I've removed things. I have not shared things because I don't want to mess up the case or anything, but I want the world to know my heart, that I am protecting my children and to the best of my ability, and I don't want anything bad to happen to my children's father. I don't want anything bad to happen. I just want just enough accountability to make sure that my kids are getting the help that they need, and then also for him to get the help that he needs with his relationship with them, so that they can all have a healthy relationship. I don't want anyone to be harmed. I don't want anyone to go to jail. I don't want my kids to not have a dad, a biological father that they look up to and love. I don't want any of that. I've never wanted to hurt anyone. All I have ever wanted to do is protect myself and my kids. And that's why I've always been so willing to do whatever it takes, even to my own detriment, to my own discomfort. None of that mattered. As long as my kids were safe, that's what mattered. And unfortunately, I am actually getting a little scared because I am following a lot of stories and reading and paying attention to what's happening in family court. And I'm watching children being stripped from their mothers and actually being in contempt of court for protecting their children, who are not just getting like false accusations, but some of these men are actually like convicted for domestic violence, and their children are being taken from them, forced to reunify with an abusive, scary man just because that's their dad. And I don't get it. I don't understand how a court system could not see how dangerous it is. How even if a father is not physically touching his children, how harmful it is psychologically to be constantly threatening their mom, who they love, who's their primary attachment figure and caregiver. Like, that really screws with a child, because if you wouldn't want what was best for those children by being with their mom and also with you, this doesn't mean like you have to think that they should be with the mom more than you, but like, if you cared about your kids, you would care about their attachment. I care about my kids' attachment to their dad. I've never wanted them to not have a relationship with him. I've just wanted it to be healthy for them. And there is so much more to my story, but I am tired of being scared. I'm tired of being scared about talking about it. I'm tired of being scared that someone's going to misunderstand it. And I want it to be on record what I'm feeling and experiencing right now in case things do go south. I want it to be known, my heart to be understood, and my efforts to protect my kids to be paramount and to be seen by people in the long run, no matter what happens as our custody case unfolds. Yeah, so that's why I'm sharing this on YouTube right now, because even though it's vulnerable to admit that I'm scared and that there are things to be afraid of when people lie and cheat and have money to pay for corrupt systems to serve them. It can be really, really scary. It can be. I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but I don't know that people will believe or understand. And I've seen it happen too many times. I've seen it go the wrong way too many times. Post-separation abuse is serious, and many women and children get caught in the aftermath and death, injury, and let's not even talk about the psychological trauma that ensues from that. But anyway, thank you for listening to my story, and I really, really hope for the best as my custody case unfolds. I am going to keep sharing, and so what if it's good or bad or whatever? It seems like things can go bad anyways, no matter what, even when you're doing right. So I'm going to keep using my voice and looking for resources to make sure that I'm protecting myself and my babies who have explicitly said they don't feel safe, and they just want to feel safe. They just want to feel safe, and I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that they not only feel safe but are safe. And I need the courts to back me on that. I need them to make sure that counseling services are a part of healing a broken relationship due to domestic violence, and working through what that looks like between parents and children. I need the courts to know and to uphold their responsibility to protect children and women and families, not just parental rights. It's not about my rights to control my kid. It's about my right to protect them. That's the right that I need to be upheld right now.